What are you holding on to in your life that doesn't feel so good? What triggers you? And how can you use those situations to get stronger, wiser, and more insightful? I'm Carol Talbot, the creator and founder of the Possibility Hub, and in Messages That Matter, I'm in conversation with David Gross as he shares wisdom and insights for your growth. Hello again, David, and I'm looking forward to your sharings today because I know that your partner has gone back to work after quite a long time, having suffered a bad accident, and it's triggered some valuable learnings and lessons for us. So do share.
Okay, so this is kind of exciting actually for me because it just came to me this morning. So my partner was in a head-on collision 5 years ago on his way to work. So he was going through an intersection, someone ran the red light, took him out, right? And for 5 years, for a good chunk of the 5 years anyway, there's a lot of recovery, there's a lot of healing, there's a lot of injections in the neck and a whole bunch of stuff going on there. So this morning when he drove to work, I was reflecting on his experience, knowing exactly where he'd be on the road at a certain given time, right? Thinking, I was wondering if he felt when he hit the intersection, when he came to the intersection, right? I was wondering if he felt fear, concern, or like, what did he feel, if he felt anything?
Or if something was triggered in him, because we
exactly in connection with having such a traumatic accident 5 years earlier. Yes, exactly. And then what I realized is, oh, I also have the opportunity to assess how I'm feeling about this, because I'm holding a little bit of stuff in my belly and my gut that doesn't feel so good. So there was the opportunity, and that leads me to the story, right? So, and I have a prop today. So here's the prop for this story. So there's 4 parts to the story, okay? The first part is, and I've got just a piece of black tourmaline that I'm holding here. So the black tourmaline to me represents like a lump of coal, right? Something that is heavy and dense and dark in energy, right? Doesn't feel so good. So I'm going to hold the black tourmaline in my hand here and I'm going to squeeze it really tight. So oftentimes when we have experiences in life, we hold on to them kind of tightly, and we're squeezing them out of anger, we're squeezing them out of anguish, out of pain, out of blame, out of whatever it happens to be, but we're squeezing that experience here. So I'm going to hold the black tourmaline here as metaphorical example of holding on to something that doesn't feel so good, something weighty, kind of heavy, kind of dense, right? So I've got that here. Now, second prop, I've got a Bagua Mirror, right, from Feng Shui. So the second step of this is, okay, sure, hold on to that deep and dark and heavy one in your hand, absolutely, right? But then take the mirror here, because step number 2 is to realize, oftentimes in life, we hold on to what doesn't feel so good, and we build stories around what didn't feel so good or still doesn't feel so good. That includes other people, right? There's other people in that. It's not just us, oftentimes. So what I realized is step number 2 for me is look at the mirror here, just kind of focus on the mirror and reflect on myself and ask myself, okay, not the deep and dark and heavy that I'm holding on to, but how am I stronger? How am I wiser? How am I more insightful because of what happened here? So step number 2 is all self-reflection. And it has to be disconnected from anybody else that was involved here. It's just the situation. Okay, how am I stronger, wiser, more insightful? But also, the reality is that's not going to happen a day later or an hour later, right? It's going to take a little bit of time to get to that place of self-reflection. But when you can get there, that's step number 2, right? Then step number 3 is to begin to, well, you've squeezed the living daylights out of what didn't feel so good here, but it's all about self-reflection. So then turn your hand over, as it were. This camera thing's not going to work so well anyway. And then, whoa, okay, then we'll put it up here. Reveal that what was deep and dark and heavy, yeah, I was squeezing onto it here, but when I took my attention away from it, there we go. When I took my attention away from what didn't feel good, and I focused on myself, I could come to a place here where I could hold something in my hand that I actually see value in. Step number 3 is seeing value in the experience, which is not going to happen right away for many people, in many cases, many circumstances. In the context, I get it. And I'll tell you, after this head-on collision 5 years ago, I did not see a whole lot of value in that for a year or 2, or maybe even a little bit more, right? Okay, so step number 3 out of 4 is when the time is right, getting to the state or the stage where you can actually see the value in the experience. And many people, we hear them, many people write books and movies about traumatic experiences that they say, wow, best thing that ever happened to me. That's number 3 only. So some people, given the right time, can step into valuing the experience. Vibrationally, because I'm going with energy here, the way that I have been able to transmute into that which feels better for me more consistently is step number 4, which is maybe sometimes the hardest one, is to hold gratitude for that experience. So when I can actually hold gratitude for an experience which felt deep and dark and heavy at one point in time, when I come from the heart of gratitude, this is going to be very controversial here. I know it's going to be very controversial, but I got to say it. When I'm coming from a heart of gratitude, I have nothing to forgive. And I'm going to give you a segue story here. And you know that when I'm telling stories, it's like me standing on the dock at the ocean, casting the line into the ocean, and I'll eventually reel it back onto the dock here, right? So I'm going to cast this line onto the ocean here. We did a line casting one last time we spoke. But here's the thing about this, about gratitude. And Carol, I'm going to ask you to answer me for this one here. So do you remember, do you have in your mind, in your mind's eye, did you have a favorite teacher when you were in elementary school? Doesn't matter who they were, what grade it was in, but did you have a teacher that you just remember so much because that they touched you so deeply in elementary school?
There were 2 teachers that I really remember well. There were also there was also one other teacher that I really disliked the subject.
That's okay. We're not going there. We're not going there. We're shifting you in the direction of the positive, and that's the piano keyboard that we're going to talk about in a second here. Okay, so just reflecting on the 2 teachers that you felt a strong connection with because it was in your heart, right? You felt a strong connection for them. Okay. Would it make sense? Because I'm hoping that it's going to sound kind of whacked if I ask you, knowing that you respected these teachers, that you loved these teachers as a little girl, you probably couldn't wait to get to their classroom. And maybe you went like I did with my favorite teacher in elementary school. When I graduated in junior high school, I would go back and visit her because I just felt such a connection with her, right? If you think about the love that you have for her or for them and the respect that you have for them, based on the love and the respect, is that a reason to actually forgive them for anything? So the love and the respect, there's no reason why I can see needing to forgive them for loving you so much, to forgive them for helping you so much, right? That kind of, in my mindset, there's no need for forgiveness with someone that has helped you so much as a teacher. So let's bring it back on the dock here. So when I can hold gratitude for a deep, dark, heavy experience, I can hold gratitude for it in my eyes, just for me, and I'll get comments that are not so positive on that one. I hold no need for forgiveness, because why would I forgive one of the greatest teachers I've ever had?
Totally. What
right? Or better grammar here. I got whacked on that. Better grammar. Why would I feel the need to forgive myself or forgive someone else when the lesson has been so great?
That's such a beautiful, beautiful metaphor. And it's such a beautiful story, those 4 points, because we so often get triggered. And when we get triggered, we do hold on tight. We run that experience, the blame, they did this, they did that, what or who's triggered us. We run it over and over and over again.
We're back into storytelling mode.
Yeah, it's a bit like, going to the movie wasn't good, but you go and see it again and again and again.
And then it shows up again and again and again, and we wonder why.
Exactly. So if we can, place that reflection and bring everything back to ourselves, then we see that every situation offers us an opportunity to transform our very selves.
It's the expanding of our awareness. Yes.
Yes. And this is the evolution that if you look at the outside world as a complete reflection, and many people say, we live in a holographic reality. What's reality a hologram of? It's a hologram of you. And so that means there's nobody really there. that everybody out there is playing a reflection of you. You've got so many different actors who are just playing that reflection and playing out your triggers, your stories, your stuff, if you want to call it that. And that as they trigger, then you, rather than hold it tight, reflect it back. And what is it triggering in me? What opportunity is there for growth? Then you can transform it. And like you said, I loved that metaphor that really every poor experience or every trigger is your favorite teacher who taught you so many wonderful gifts and so many wonderful lessons. And also, you know, a teacher, and I know your background is teaching and in schools as well, that, you know, it makes you become the person that you are today.
Oh, yes,
and then
100%.
you think about the person through those lessons. And let's face it, most lessons don't come when you're happy, 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 happy.
Exactly.
Most lessons come when you're triggered, when it brings up anger or different feelings. And I can think of a particular experience that happened the other year to me, which really pushed some buttons and allowed me for deep, deep introspection.
But does that also not require an openness to being vulnerable?
Totally. And that is such a beautiful quality, and a quality that I spent a long time learning, because I wasn't prepared to be less than, I wanted to be perfect. I wanted everything to be right. So that means that you put, and this is, I feel many people put out on social media. This is the social media where your life has to look brilliant and this, and we don't want to put the raw, the ugly, the not so nice stories out there, because we may be perceived as, well, we may show who we really are. And what I've discovered from vulnerability, and I have to say, I was pushed into it, that it showed me that you're loved more for your imperfections than for your perfections.
100%. If I can come from a higher perspective here as well, just for a moment, my understanding, my perception of the growth of who we are, and maybe take it even to a soul level. As you said, we grow from the times that are not smooth and easy, right? We grow from the opportunities that are presented to us in times that don't oftentimes at the time feel good to us or feel great to us. But yet, when we can embrace not only the value of the experience, but then hold gratitude for the experience. To me, if I can just briefly talk about the piano keyboard metaphor here. So middle C being the middle key on the piano keyboard. Every note that goes down on the piano keyboard is heavier, denser, weightier, right, in vibration. Every note that goes up is lighter in vibration. There are people who live, I'm really resisting putting any qualifiers and personal judgments on that one there. But there are many people who live 1, 2 octaves down from middle C, and that's the constant kind of energetic vibration of their life. They are oftentimes in anger, pardon me, or in fear, or feeling that which doesn't feel good for them, and then talking about that, right? There are many people who live an octave or 2 or more higher up from middle C, whose lives appear kind of like the ultimate. It's like, wow, your life is so great, your life is so good. And the thing is, law of attraction aside, all the respect given to law of attraction, but for me, it's law of alignment. So if you align an octave or 2 or more down from middle C, if that's what you're constantly playing in your life vibrationally, that's what you're going to be attracting from. If you're playing up a couple of octaves, that's where you're going to be attracting from. So the holding on to the value and then the gratitude, or holding on to the value and then seeing the gratitude and being grateful for these experiences that don't feel so good, to me, is a way of shifting and transforming into the higher vibrational couple of octaves up state of being.
Love it, David. And I thank you for that beautiful metaphor, the reflection back at yourself, and also that they're all teachers. And like your favorite teacher, no forgiveness is necessary, just the gratitude for the learnings and the discoveries.
Yes.
So thank you so much for sharing again today.
My pleasure.
And we will speak again next week.
Can't wait. Thank you so much.